Pioneer Valley Planning Commission last month released their 2015 Plan for Progress on how to make our region prosper into the future. Tonight, we conclude our series of discussions about the Plan for Progress, focusing this time on the collaboration and engagement needed to make good things happen here. Joining us are Laura Wondolowski, Executive Director of Leadership Pioneer Valley, Evan Plotkin, President of NIA Plotkin Real Estate Brokerage and Management, Marcos Marrero, Planning and Economic Development Director for the City of Holyoke, and Nick Fintralakis, Vice President for Community Responsibility at Mass Mutual Financial Group.
Our population, 26% of the population of the Valley is 55 or older. We're going to lose a huge generation of folks, many in leadership. A lot of the stats are that 39% of leadership at organizations are with the baby boom generation. So we really do need the next generation of leaders who are being trained in leadership skills, but also interconnected. That's where the collaboration piece comes in it, so that we can start working across our geographic silos, our economic silos, to build this region to be the better place that we want. And we've got lots of great examples of our graduates joining new boards, starting new organizations with the people they met through Leadership Pioneer Valley. So I think this regional approach is going to start to knit together our disparate communities and sectors to build the region.
Ms. Plotkin, let me ask you, it strikes me in your business of literally renting offices, buildings, places where people do the things that make an economy work. You got your pulse on the economic health of the Valley every day, if you, I mean, literally as you get a call, I need office space, or I'm not going to need the office space any longer. You see it every day.
I do. And I think that, I talk to site selectors who are looking to place a firm, a business in Springfield or elsewhere. And so it becomes a competitive situation right away. And so as a real estate person, of course, I try to sell the bricks and mortar, the economics of the real estate, and why that works for them. But I've learned that there's more to it than that. It's really about what kind of lifestyle here. What is the labor force, and do you have a trained workforce, an educated workforce that they could tap into? So they're looking at other aspects other than real estate. And I think the challenge has been that Springfield has largely been viewed as being sort of a city that's never really gotten where it needs to be. It's somewhat in decline. And our efforts really, and my efforts have largely been to how do we make the city attractive to the millennials and other, we have this great knowledge corridor, which is well described in the report. How many of those graduates are staying in the region, and how can we tap into that workforce? I think a lot has to be done to enhance the livability and the quality of life. And so a lot of my efforts have really been in around those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Marcos Marrero, planning and economic development. I mean, that's Plan for Progress in a nutshell right there in just those few words. You're in the city of Holyoke, which has seen its share of troubles. We've got the Green Computer Center now, High Performance Computer Center. We've got people looking at that city, at this area in general. Tide is turning a bit.
Well, definitely, I would say it is, and not just for Holyoke, but for the Valley. And really, Plan for Progress is a way of looking at ourselves as a metropolitan region, collaborating amongst the sectors, as Laura was indicating, because we know that throughout the country, the examples of the cities that we know are successful in turning around the tide, like we are here, the basis for that tide turning is cross-sector collaboration. Regionally, also we share a lot of common challenges, and so Plan for Progress really calls out the issues that we have from our own vantage points, how to collaborate on that, whether it be rail and transportation, the common heritage that we have as an industrial powerhouse region, and the brownfields that come from that. These are all very specific steps that we have to work together to implement and overcome.
Nick Fintralakis, last but not least, your very title, Community Responsibility Vice President. Mass Mutual Financial Group. It's interesting right there that a company says, let's put somebody in our top executive positions who is going to be responsible to connect us with the community every day ongoing. And I don't have to tell you, whenever there's any project in Greater Springfield, within the first minute or two of the planning, somebody says, we got to get Mass Mutual on board for the force, the power, the importance of the name, and everything you bring to the table. You folks and the business community play a huge role in our future health.
Well, thank you, and I think Mass Mutual has been doing that for over 160 years, and I'm very proud to be able to work for the organization in that capacity that you described. Collaboration is really key to our work. We don't just want to show up and have the say. We want to make sure that people are working together, and that's one of the first things that we look toward. And so many of the things that we're engaged with, like Leadership Pioneer Valley and others, are focused on how do we bring those communities together. As Evan was talking about, business doesn't work in isolation. It's got to be the workforce, it's got to be higher education, it's got to be quality of life issues, entertainment, the arts, culture, et cetera. All those things need to really come together and work in harmony for the region to be successful. And so that's really one of the ways in which we go about our work, is to try to ensure that there's collaboration across those sectors in making sure that we're moving forward in the right direction as a community.
Let me go right around the group, if I may, and I'll start with you, Ms. Plotkin. It seems to me things are happening here. I think probably the plans for progress for the years certainly need some credit for that. It seems to me Springfield and the people around here feel a little better about ourselves and our region.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the business leaders who I talk to are very positive about Springfield. We know we have our challenges. We have, however, are pointing to some of these great developments. The train station, having a transportation hub in Springfield, the
Union Station.
The Union Station, the development of the MGM development, that is going to bring a lot of energy to the area. I think there's been a surge of positive energy, and of course there's the naysayers will never go away. And I kind of am almost amused by them at this point because they're relentless. But I think that if we just stay on track and focus on some of these priorities and some of the things that are laid out in this report and look at what our opportunities are, look at those challenges, and really work hard to pull together the resources that we need to enable the city to, and for the people in the region to recognize that we are really coming back and we are on our way, well on our way to being a great city.
Laura Wondolowski, you get the perspective of the young future leaders you deal with a lot.
Sure, and we, as part of our program every year, have Springfield as one of our focus days. And I mean, you're right that there are lots of folks who have a negative view of Springfield from what they see on TV and the papers. It's often the crime stuff, which I don't think is out of sync with other cities. But at the end of the day, we go from 30-40% of our participants having a negative view of Springfield to all having at least a neutral or positive view of the city. I think a lot of the underlying economic development that's starting to happen is going to draw millennials and young professionals into the city. They need a place to live, entertainment, and a lot of the stats, and Marcos would know this, millennials don't want to drive. So all the transportation that hopefully is coming will make this a draw, as well as other places in the region. We have an outflux of young people, so how do we keep them here?
Nick Finchalakis, seems like we're on the upswing a little bit.
I think so, and Springfield's a great city. I grew up in Springfield. I went to the public schools in Springfield. I'm proud of Springfield. I think Springfield's got a great future ahead of it. I think when you look at the numbers in terms of the dollars of investment that are coming to the city of Springfield for economic development moving forward, it's really promising. And so yes, there are challenges just like in any urban center, but clearly I think that there is more positive happening these days and that we're really on a great trajectory.
Marcos Marrero, we've talked a lot about Springfield, but we're talking about the whole region and your role in Holyoke. You see things in a broader perspective than just Springfield.
Sure, and again, we're the same metropolitan region with the same characteristics in terms of workforce and the industrial heritage. And going back to that question of the perception that people have of the Springfield metro area, it has a legitimate basis. A lot of people still remember a time where income from things like manufacturing was much higher than it was today, and the Springfield metro area has suffered a decline like many other areas throughout the United States. But the importance of things like Plan for Progress and the work that we all do from our vantage points is being focused on the assets that still remain here and hasn't been as exploited as before, whether it be the resurgence in manufacturing, the creative economy, clean energy, new leadership coming in. Transportation, that's all contained in the plan. It's really important for us to exploit.
Wish we had more time. We barely scratched the surface, but hopefully we've given folks at least an idea and some perspective on the Plan for Progress. Thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.